The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 939. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. If you're tired of being the best-kept secret in your industry, listen up. You don't need to be louder, you need to be seen. Grab my free Visible Framework Toolkit, the exact steps I use to go from overlooked to being the go-to expert people turn to for impact and insight. Download it now at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is a nurse coach, and I'm super excited to have her on and share her story with us on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Bina Bendale. Bina, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Hi, my name's Bina Bendale, and I'm a board certified nurse coach, and I do a lot of corporate wellness specifically around parents with special needs.
Thanks for sharing that. And Bina, what's your cultural background?
My parents are from India.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence coach is stay weird.
Yeah, I love that. Stay weird. I mean, we're all weird. I mean, what is normal?
There's no normal. So it's just like that's like my favorite go-to quote of like someone asks me this a lot and they go, what do you do? I'm like, just stay weird.
I love that. Especially growing up, in North America, you always feel like the odd one out, and you always felt like being weird was a disability when it could be your greatest strength. I mean, you look at people in the media who've won awards, who've like made it to the top. I mean, they were there because they were different, not because they followed everybody else. So I really love that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
For me, when I define self-confidence, I define your true identity, like unmasking your true identity. That's really where self-confidence comes down for me is you know who you are and you are thankful for who you are and you're grateful for who you are and your boundaries around that is really strong.
Thanks for sharing that. And, it's not always easy to show up as who we are, right? Like our true self, the good, bad, and the ugly. And identity, our identity is important to show up as our true selves, especially in this crazy world that we're in with AI on the rise and tech. Your identity is going to be the edge that people will be looking for, looking for more human connection, human interaction. They mentioned that like in-person events have been on the rise because of this. So there's no better time to really show up as your weird self. So I really love that. And what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I had really low self-confidence growing up. And I really think there was a lot of cultural issues around that. I think, especially being in an Asian community, I was the firstborn immigrant. So my parents immigrated here from India. So we were the firstborn generation. And I think that really messed with me a lot because there was a lot of like shame and guilt at home. And then in school, it was like this whole new world. And I didn't know how to balance the two. And so growing up, I was very, very sheltered, very disciplined, should I say. There's a lot of discipline at home. And then when we're out in the real world, it was like, and I come from here in the Bay Area, coming from California, it was like the melting pot, right? So it's like we saw a whole bunch of different cultures in a different way. But I think it was just the confidence part of me really was, learning my true identity and learning who I am and without the judgment of my parents, without people, especially my parents, telling me you should do this and you should act like your sister more and you should be quiet. And I was that loud, quirky, weird person even when I was younger, but I was always told to tame it down. You're too loud, you're too this. Please be quiet, like let the men talk, don't talk like this. It was just there was a lot of that, and I think that really, really messed up my confidence growing up because I never really got the chance to be me. And I think that really messed it up the whole time. Like, and I think that's really now where I'm at now. It's just like I was able to find that voice and it changed my life now.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think growing up in Asian culture, that's a lot of our childhood, right? We're always told to, never make any noise, stay in the background, do as you're told, especially Asian women, and even till this day, right? Like you show up a certain way. If it's not in the path that you were given, they think you're weird, they think you're crazy, they think you're doing something different. And you are doing something different, and there's nothing wrong with that because there's so many ways of living life, and I know like in Indian culture too, right? Like women are told what to do more than men, right? Like I remember talking to an Indian woman who, and she's a leadership coach, right? She told me how like at parties, like she goes to the bathroom just to drink her glass of wine so that her family can't see it. Which to me was surprising, but I'm sure like that's normal in your culture. But like these little things take a toll, and it's wild that, our upbringing can take a toll into our adult life. And if we don't talk about it, we don't, find ways to heal from it, we'll never show up as our true self. So, what was that point in your life when you realized like you were the person that you are today, especially, doing something on your own? Again, we're not taught to be coaches or have a business or do your own thing. We're just taught to get married, take care of the house until you're old. But what was that point in your life that made you realize you can go out there and do it?
So it actually comes back to when I started speaking up as a younger child. So talking about the Indian culture, right? We wear a lot of elaborate outfits. And they're, crop tops with the nice thing, and we show our, we're showing up our bellies and we're showing lower things, right? So it's interesting, right? When you do that. And so when I was in high school, I started wanting to wear crop tops to school because I was like, well, if I can wear this to an Indian outfit like cult thing, why can't I wear it here? But my parents were like, no, you can't show your body off. Like you're doing this. I was like, I just showed my body off like last night. Like where is this double standard coming, right? And I think it was like that's kind of when I really realized like, okay, you know what? These double standards are just not holding for me. And I was the first daughter to get her master's in in my household. I actually was the first daughter to leave her house before she was married. And I had family members not talk to me for 6 months because they were like, oh, you're just gonna go out and party and have sex. And I was like, yo, no, I left my house because I was traveling for 4 hours a day to work bedside for 40 hours a week and get my master's at the same time. And it's like the commute was killing me. And instead of, that, oh my God, she's growing into a independent woman, I was bashed for it on the other side. Like I was just like tormented. Like people, my family honestly did not talk to me for like a year. And I think that's when I really realized the shift of, you know what? I have to do this for myself. I can't be doing this for somebody else. I can't let, and I love my family. But I just can't, those boundaries have to be there where if they're telling me something so negative and I want to believe it, I had to make that choice that time when I took the stance. And I still remember to this day when I told my mom I'm moving out. She goes, no, you're not. I said, actually, yes, I am. She goes, no, you're not. I said, nope, the truck will be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Like, I'm moving out. And she was so mad. And that was a pivotal moment in my life where I had to do that. And I think that's really what transformed a lot of my stuff nowadays. And it all came back down from those Indian outfits to, hey, why can't I wear those halter top?
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's so hard, right, to like set boundaries to the people that we love. Like I know our family means well, but sometimes you just gotta put like a wall up to like block the negativity out so you can go out there and do something. And it doesn't mean you love them less. It just means you need to love yourself and think about yourself more. And it's okay to be a little bit selfish, especially if there's something out there that you want to do. You got to go for it, or else you're going to live life full of regrets, asking yourself, what if I did this? What if I did that? Instead of thinking, what if, you can actually go out there and do it. Do it messy, figure it out, pivot, do whatever. Go, you one day you're 100% confident, the next day you're like minus 20% confident, but that's life. And, it helps you become the person that you are and realize you can withstand anything in life. And so because of that realization, what's your life been like now?
I live for me now. And I think that was a big gap, when we're talking about like the gap in confidence. I think that was the biggest gap is that I don't have to be selfish. Like I'm not selfish by choosing me first. And I think in like the Indian culture specifically or any Asian culture, like the minute you put yourself first, you're worthless, you're selfish, you're this. There's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame that associates with that. And the minute I released that, where I was like, I'm not being selfish, I'm just living my life. And the minute I shifted that was huge for me because it's like I didn't feel guilty if I wanted to do a trip to Europe, if I made, X amount of money and I'm like, I'm gonna go to Europe. It's like, oh no, please save your money. And I'm like, for what? Like, for who? Because at that time I was 20 years old and I had the disposable income at that time. And it's like, I would now looking back, it's like I wish my parents gave me more encouragement because I could have traveled the entire world before. Not saying I can't do it now, it's just a little bit more challenging, with children. But it's just like that was a pivotal moment for me, is just knowing that I'm not selfish for putting me first. I'm not selfish if I chose to go and do something for myself and still respecting my family's boundaries. And what I mean by that is, say if there was a birthday or there was a, thing and you don't want to miss it, and that's your family's tradition, right? Then yeah, I won't travel around those family traditions. But in any other time, I mean, what are we gonna do? Every family traditions, it's like it'd be a tradition if we all actually loved each other and respected each other and we all showed up. So it's those types of things where that was the biggest shift for me, is just knowing that I'm not selfish if I choose me first.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a mindset shift we all need to work on, especially being Asian. Like, there's so many things I had to unlearn and relearn. And yeah, we love our family, and if there's an important event, I will be there. I will find a way to be there, right? Because I understand the importance of it. Of course, I'm not saying I'm going to totally disrespect my family, but if there is an event that is really important, near and dear to my heart, I'm going to be there. Right? And it's also important to say, hey, I need to do something for myself. I need to live life on my own terms. What does that look like? And everyone's way of seeing it is different. There's no like 50-50, like you work what works for you, of course. And then unfortunately that shame and guilt can take a toll on us. And it's bad enough being Asian in North America, but what about being Asian in Asia? Like it's very collective. So it's like, the shame is intensified because like a whole continent is like,
The whole continent does this. And I think that's like, even when you go back to India, when you're going back to different Asian communities, it's like, it's even 10 times more. Right. And I see this with like a lot of firstborn generation or the newer immigrants coming here to the United States and or to Canada. And I'm seeing this as like, oh, I can't tell my husband this. Oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, no, my in-laws are going to get mad if I do X, Y, and Z, because they're bringing that culture, which I love culture. And I want to hear everybody. I love culture, but culture, when a female, and I don't know if I should say this or not, but when a female is being degraded or being lower leveled, like now we're having another issue. Like now it's just like we're going back to that reality of like what I went away from, right? And so yeah, it's really challenging when it does that, because it's not, what do we say on that? You know?
yeah, I mean, it's something that we have to work through, but I think it's also important to bring this topic about so, other people can realize they're not alone in this journey and we'll figure this out together and we don't have to do it alone. But, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in a similar journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you'd give to her?
The one tip I would say is break free from the mold. Use your voice. Your voice does matter. And people, with the minute you start putting boundaries, the minute you start voicing your opinion, the minute you start stating your demanding, and your family members or your inner circle are all against you and you feel alone, you're just breaking free. That's my biggest takeaway.
Thanks for sharing that tip. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, the best way right now, because actually my actual website is down, lovely, is to link me through, find me on LinkedIn. It's Bina Bendale on LinkedIn.
Thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Bina, you can also head on over to thetowofselfconfidence.com and search for Bina's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Bina today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Bina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Not a problem. It was awesome having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. You can now purchase Bridging the Confidence Gap: How Empowered Women Change the World on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Indigo, and other book retailers sold worldwide. Get your copy today. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to get your daily boost of confidence.